I'm running away from the past I left behind. I'm looking for answers, but I'm blinded by the light. I'm lost in the music, can I stay here for the night? I promise I'll be gone in the morning, out of sight and out of mind. No blind, out of sight and out of mind. No
Okay, we are live. I'm just looking at the Super Cup just quickly for 2 seconds. Literally 2 seconds. And I realised, wait a minute, the theme song's stopping. Yeah, so we'll be covering the Super Cup tonight. Good evening, everybody. This is the Game Week 32 preview, coming off the back of one of the most bizarre game weeks. I said on the Patreon podcast this morning, actually, I think it was more bizarre than Game Week 29, to be frank. Very peculiar point scoring coming out of Game Week 31, specifically the fact that Salah got 1 point, Palmer and Foden get hat-tricks in the most, well, certainly in Man United's case, Chelsea's case, the most bizarre of circumstances. And yeah, this week has been a very good week from my own point of view. I'm at the dizzy heights of 980,000th. It's great. But more importantly, I'm ahead of Jason. I'm catching up with Dan. I'm now ahead of Dale. I don't think Sai is catchable. I think he's like 100 points ahead of me. And unless by some miracle I captain players which obviously outscore his captains, and certain players in my team obviously outscore his. Over the next, what is it now? 6 game weeks, including 3 double game weeks within the 6. So double game week 34, 36, probably as Ben Crellin has put it, and 37. So yeah, I can't see myself catching Sai, but you never know. But Sai is having a good season this year. He's actually performing very well. Like some other people, like Harbour Boy, out of nowhere, are doing absolutely phenomenally this season. And yeah, as I keep stating all the time, it always seems to be with me, the last 10 game weeks of a season, it just seems to, for whatever reason, turn around. As David Brent says, turn it around. And yeah, everything seems to be coming to fruition, but it's too late now. It means fuck all when all your rivals are so far ahead of you. You take Harbour Boy as a prime example. He's 200 points ahead of me. 200 points ahead of me, Harbour Boy will be, and it would take literally some form of miracle for me to catch up with the likes of Harbour Boy and John Harris, to name 2. I mean, another goal for me, actually, now thinking about it, would be Alex Vollum, and thanking him again for the thumbnails that he does. Catching him would be actually a bit of a target. I don't actually know how far ahead of me he is. I can easily check. But his captaincies, despite always coming through, he is 70 odd points ahead. 60 odd points ahead of me. Alex, as Jason would say, I'm coming for you, mate. That Solanke captain's going to fail you miserably. Alex is captain in Solanke. He is captain Solanke against Luton. Obviously, I hope he does well, because he's probably going to be my captain in Sky. So, yeah, and as it stands right now, I mean, I know PK7's here. He's 2 points behind me. 2 points behind me. Nuclear Atoms is only 6 points ahead of me. FPL Bailey, 4 points ahead of me. You have Kazali, who's just behind me by 8 points. Podner. This is where the gap becomes a bit big now. Podner's 22 points behind me. And yeah, people in my sights. You've got Bilal, Colm, Gravy Dave. How mad is that? Gravy Dave is in the top 50. The top 50 in Sky. I think he's something like, I don't know, 30th, 35th maybe. Maybe 40th. And yet in the world of FPL, I'm only 23 points behind him. Gravy Dave, I'm coming for you. Wayne Dean is there. I'm coming for you, mate. These people, I'm slowly catching you. Very, 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 very slowly. But in the YouTube chat league, certainly where I'm looking at this information, Harbour Boy and Harry Dawson are really fighting out, even though Harbour Boy's got a nice 30-point lead ahead over Harbour Boy. But you've then got FPL Harry. He's then 40-ish, just under 40 points behind Harbour Boy. Then we've got John Harris, who's having another exceptionally good season. Again, very unlucky this week with his Eze pick, Eze coming through, but then of course the goal being ruled off. I don't know why. I don't watch any highlights or anything. How can you do an FPL channel and not watch football? Because I can. It's quite simple. It's like FPL Mate said on Tangent. It's quite simple, really. You get some equipment. You then simply install some apps which allows you to stream. You press a poxy button and people watch you. It's quite simple, really. I say people watch you. It doesn't just happen like that, but people do watch. But yeah, I don't watch any highlights apart from watching the 4-3 from last night's game, just to see the goals, just to see how mental it was. I did find that I don't know if anybody even follows me on X, which is nobody. I did clip a moment on from the United stand, even though I just basically just clipped a clip, and it just reminded me so much of me. Mark Goldbridge going absolutely apeshit over Cole Palmer and the goal they conceded. I found it hysterical. I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to do this anymore. Fucking genius. Genius. He knows what he's doing. He says it all the time, and that's football. Clip it, share it, I don't care. You're the fucking idiots that are making me money. Brilliant. Brilliant business. Congratulations to him. This is working. And yeah, I just again, I didn't have any context to it apart from the fact that Cole Palmer scored. But when you actually are listening into Mark Goldbridge and you're just listening to what he's saying, and then something goes against United, that's gold dust. That is legitimately gold dust. And I find it really, really funny when you are hearing it within the context of his show and he's going absolutely apeshit about something that's gone against him. It's usually quite funny, actually, or more specifically, it's really interesting when he talks about Man City and the whole thing about, and it's true, just all their players constantly surrounding the referee and no yellow cards or anything like that is coming out. So yeah, but yeah, certainly going back to FPL, it's another strange game week upcoming. Is it strange, Steve-O? Is it really that strange? Not really, no. So I don't think that, I saw someone put up a poll. Rich FPL, he basically said who you're captaining, and guess who the most popular choice was? Palmer. I wonder why that is. But certainly this week, some really interesting fixtures. Crystal Palace versus Man City. Obviously, Haaland and Kevin De Bruyne will be starting that. And you never know. All you Haaland owners will probably be rewarded in... I'll probably call that 2-1. My score predictions are so bad at the moment, I'm going to end up being level with Jason. I don't know what's going on there. I've dropped like a stone. It's literally as if I haven't saved anything, and it's just gone, yeah, you're dropping and dropping and dropping. You got the likes of, from an FPL point of view, Brighton versus Arsenal. That's going to be very, very intriguing. Man United versus Liverpool, of course. How will Man United respond? With Liverpool, who are coming into town, who are just on this trip of winning and winning and winning. And then, I'll tell you what, depending on what the history says, I am tempted by Son captain this week. I don't know who I'm captaining this week. I don't have a clue. I'm tempted by Son. I mean that. I'm thinking of going Son this week. It's the end. It's the 6 o'clock kickoff. That's based on absolutely nothing. But I'm going to look at the history first, see what the history says before I make any final decisions. But it's really, for me, it is a toss up between Salah and Son for me. Obviously, there's other options like Palmer away at Sheffield United. No one else really, to be honest with you. Let's just quickly say hello to the people that have joined us just briefly. Good afternoon, ABJ, Karma Baby, Mafty, FPL, Win a Lot, Fire Tog, Stephen Horn. Jesus, I have not seen that name at all for a long time. FPL Maestro, like I said, PK7's in, Nuclear Atoms, Dazid, Colm is here. Good evening. Animations is here. Yeah, quite a few people. I'm just going to quickly go through the. Good evening, Connor. Always like your contributions on chain wrestling. And by the way, I've just literally finished chain wrestling a minute ago. Just had 15 minutes left of the show, and their poll. I'm hoping that the WCW, the Louis Theroux Weird Weekends wins. I really do hope that wins, because number one, I'll be able to watch it. Number two, I've seen it at least 5 or 6 times. So I really do hope that wins, because I do like it when Mags and Si actually talk about other things other than wrestling, in the sense of, you know, like reviewing Baywatch when Shawn Michaels was in it. That was absolutely fantastic. Yeah, moving on to the Super Cup. So it is a 2-legged tie again in the round of 16, as it literally says it in front of me, round 16. So here we go. This is the round 16, and in the words of the bloke in A Clockwork Orange, my God. So Zvonka, he is losing to, have I forgotten his name? I know it's Danny, but I've completely forgotten his name in Discord. It's ridiculous. Anyway, either way, Danny by 1 point, 60 points to 61. So Danny's on 61 points, Zvonka's on 60. Karma Baby took a -4, and he is losing to JR, 53 points to 61. Denver is beating Peter Scullion, despite the fact that Denver took a -8. He got 65 points, and Peter Scullion only got 55. Frenchie FPL is on a draw with Harry Dawson, both on 54, but that's because Frenchie took a -4. Emil Smith Joe, comfortable lead over Simic, for 69 points to 51. Fader Raza is absolutely destroying Cool K, who took a -8 and is on 37 points against 56. The best, Cy Bellamy, he's beating Plastova, 57 points to 51. And then another tight tie between Ayush and Harbour Boy. Harbour Boy, of course. Is Harbour Boy just going to do a Man City and win everything? He is on 68 points to 64. In fact, the only thing that Harbour Boy isn't winning at the moment, can you guess what's the only league Harbour Boy isn't winning at the moment? You're wrong. It is the Patreon League. The Patreon League isn't the Trophy League. That's two completely different leagues. Oh, that's embarrassing. Maybe I kicked the person out. So Harbour Boy's top of the Patreon League as well. I think I may have kicked out the person. That's fantastic. Bloody hell, Ray is 5th in the Patreon League. So the Patreon League is basically anybody that's signed up to Patreon at either $1.99 or $4.99. But the rules state that, even though there isn't actually officially a rule book per se, but this is Steve-O's rules, that if they were to leave at any point, if they don't repay or whatever the bloody resubscribe for the following month, they will be booted out the league. So there's somebody in the Trophy League that will be booted. I think actually today, I think I need to actually check if they've re-signed on it. If they haven't, see you later. So as I keep stating, they'll be down to about 3 of us by the end of it, and Harbour Boy will still win. There you go. I just need to find a way to annoy Harbour Boy, and then if I can do that, there's a small chance I could potentially catch Firetog. Potentially. But yeah, actually, Harbour Boy is based. In fact, if I click on Harbour Boy's name, let's actually see how many leagues Harbour Boy is top of. He's in about 400 leagues. I'm not going to go for every single one, but basically, okay, the Always Cheating Super League, he's not top. Net the Hall, Last Cheater Standings, Planet FPL, the Elite FPL Elimination League, Sky Sport New Zealand, the AT League, Planet FPL Doubles. Oh no, he's number 1 in that, sorry. League Dive, PSL Super League, and AC FPL Non-Premier League Second Half League. They're the only leagues he's not number one in. Everything else, Harbour Boys Storming. He is 1,400th in the world. So he is doing exceptionally well at the game, as I keep banging on about. But I think his luck is slowly going to run out. But certainly with the Super Cup, he is, like I say, he's 4 points clear of Ayush. But we have got Game Week 32 to commence, which is starting tomorrow with the game with Crystal Palace versus Man City. What a boring game that's going to be. Evening Geordie Kev. Andrew Ferguson saying it's only the predictions that is keeping me interested. Well, you're having a stormer regarding you're having an absolute stormer regarding the predictions. Aren't you like 1,000th in the world or something? You're doing very, very well. It would be interesting to know why is it that you are doing so well at score predictions and not in FPL. It's always quite interesting. Dusty Toner saying Palmer is destroying my rank again. Guess I'm going Palmer in this week. Watch him get nothing now. Oh, he probably won't get anything. You're right. But there are players in this game which essentially you have to have, and Palmer is one of them. He's a season keeper. It's like Foden, a season keeper. JS saying I'm going to have 15 doublers, no hits, trying to win my mini league, 35 points ahead. Yeah, you'll be fine. Connor saying I captain Foden this week and captain Haaland in the base game and vice captain Haaland in the base game. I don't know what you mean, Connor. What does that mean? I could easily look at your team because you are bottom. You make me look good. You think Boona? JS saying it's WrestleMania all weekend. I don't watch any of it, to be honest with you. I do know that the bloodline storyline is incredible, and the stuff that I'm seeing on YouTube is incredible, but nah, I don't really have any interest in it. I thought Palmer was a penalty merchant until I watched him against us, best player on the pitch by a mile. Yeah, us being Newcastle, Geordie Kev. He is a player. I think he's trying to prove something to Pep Guardiola. Lucas Dunn, captain Palmer. God's sake, ridiculous, utterly ridiculous. FPL actually, I'm not going to read that. I think that could be the fake one. If this is the fake FPL Harry, as Tom says, you're a loser. If it's the real Harry, prove it by to be fair, it could be the real Harry because he does follow the show. That's the fake one because no tick. Actually, do you know, I can't remember. The base game is the regular game, but I played both the regular game and the FPL Challenge game. Oh, the FPL Challenge, yeah. The game that I don't think anybody even talks about anymore. In fact, I actually put out a tweet earlier, or a post on X, that's the first time I've said the T word. That's the first time I've said the T word in a while. I put a post out on X earlier on just saying, does anybody remember that FPL Challenge game? Anybody? Does anybody even play it here? Rubbish. Absolute load of rubbish. But certainly, yeah, this particular game week is looking very interesting from rotational point of views and whatnot. Certainly, Man City, I'm going to assume, will probably be putting out within reason a full squad. I think they're just going to use the Crystal Palace game as a training game. Genuinely, I think they are going to pretty much play the same team that is going to be playing against Real Madrid. I have a feeling, a sneaky suspicion, Foden could be benched. Now, I can already see some going, but he just got a hat-trick. What are you talking about? Doesn't matter. Don't get me wrong, Foden, it's unlikely he'll be benched, but I just have this sneaky feeling he may not be starting tomorrow. I mean, it's about a about a 2% chance of him not starting. Could happen though. Save him for the Real Madrid game. But yeah, the Crystal Palace game is a tough fixture for Man City, and we'll go through all that in a minute. Like I say, even like Aston Villa, Watkins, does he even exist anymore? We got like the likes of Newcastle with Pickford versus up against Burnley. That's a draw written all over it. 0-0, 1-1. Fulham Newcastle, I think that could be goals galore, genuinely. Luton Bournemouth, Alex Follows going with Solanke captain. Wolves West Ham, well, guess who's not going to be keeping a clean sheet? Yep, Ait-Nouri. In fact, Ait-Nouri's probably going to get a yellow card in a 1-pointer. Brighton Arsenal, very tough fixture to call for me. And then, like I said, the other 3 fixtures are going to be very interesting to call. Like I said, I think Sun captain could be the one. Could generally be one. Jordy kept saying captaincy is interesting this year too, Steve. Undecided personally, Sun Palm. Yeah, you're stating pretty much. You're pretty much stating everybody who is wanting to cap basically. It's not particularly difficult. They are pretty much the top picks this weekend, to be completely frank. 4 days to go until Madrid for City. It'll be fun to see how Pep handles the Madrid press conference again. I don't know what that is about, unfortunately. That's the issue. I don't actually know what that is. New Grams. FPL Challenge was actually exciting at first, but now it's even boring me. Doesn't that just say everything? Doesn't that just say everything regarding the whole thing about that particular game? The thing is that, as I keep stating, I think if the game came out and just said, look, we're testing some features that could potentially shift over to the real game, and we want as many people to participate as possible to see how it works, at that point, I reckon it may get a bit of traction and people will go, well, you're not trying to con me. You're not trying to make out like you create this brand new game for the engagement of new players and the engagement of an audience which is bored of the real game. People would be like, oh, actually, you're doing some tests, are you? Doing some tests. All right, okay. And you're doing deadline at deadline. Brilliant. Cool. And what's that feature there about, having 5 players instead of 3, or double points for your strikers or whatnot? That sounds really interesting. You're potentially thinking about implementing in the game, and that the more engagement you get in that game and the more feedback you get, you may potentially input it into the real game. Brilliant. That's a great idea. Do you know what? I actually respect you for that. But instead, it's not that. It's just, yeah, we've come out with this brand new game. We want everybody to participate in it. People don't care. People don't give a shit. All people care about is FPL. Yes, the die-hard, gotta be playing fantasy football no matter what, are going to play it. But really, people are just going to be concentrating on FPL per se. And is it because I've muted pretty much every single FPL account on my X account? Probably. But even when you click on the For You section, I don't see anything to do with FPL Challenge. So I think you are right, Nuclear Atoms. I think people are just bored of it. And yeah, it's just meh. Harry's also saying mismatch. No. It's not particularly, apart from slagging you off, Harry, basically. That Harry me or Harry the very large channel. The same thing. Yeah, we were just basically slagging you off, Harry Dawson. It would be more interesting if you could pick a team without any changes just for this season. Would be, I wouldn't. No, I think, to be completely honest with you, Lucas, I think that you need to be. They need to be gimmicky within that particular game, because what's the point in having just a side game that's exactly the same as the original game? It's just a complete waste of time. In fact, imagine if the game or the people behind the game decided, right, we are going to implement something into the last 8 games of the season. Not necessarily change the deadline, but on particular game weeks. So let's just say game week 32. They say that we are going to be trialing. Not even trialing. It's not even trialing, is it? It's actually, we're going to be implementing these new point systems. So in game week 32, all your strikers earn double points. I don't know, but I just think that just be a bit more transparent with things like this. And I think that at that point, people enjoy transparency. They actually feel that they're not being, not necessarily conned, but just like, you've come out with this game, but what's the point in me playing it when I'm more interested in FPL? And even you, from an FPL challenge point of view, it's not really pushing anything. They need to sort out the original game. Sort that out first, rather than creating these brand new games. And if you want to implement something new, do it for the real game, basically. But yeah, I think that with the FPL challenge, they just need to get the feedback, because I generally do think that what they're going to do is they're going to implement it into next season. I think what's going to happen with the FPL challenge rules is that, specifically, I think the deadline's going to be moving to the deadline. That's what I think is going to be happening. And I reckon that they're going to maybe give you like an extra free hit, or on sporadic game week. So I don't know, in game week 5 they give you unlimited budget. I don't know, in game week 30 it is, well, no, it wouldn't be game week 30, because they know that that's the real serious end of the season. So maybe in game week 21 it's double points for your strikers or something. I don't know. Or maybe for people that think tactically in this game, which definitely ain't me, but certainly maybe like for game week 15, if you own any Brentford players that are going to be, whomever they're playing against, they get double points. Whatever. But I do think that some of these point systems are potentially going to be coming in. In fact, what are the rules in FPL Challenge? I cannot be bothered to read them. I really cannot be bothered to read them. I would have liked to have seen some elements from UEFA Champions League fantasy come to FPL, like ball retention for defenders and midfielders, shots on target for a forward, and subbing players from the bench who hasn't played yet in the 11. Yeah, again, it's simple things like that, but again, it may make it a bit more complicated for the casual players to want. They want to keep people engaged in the game. They don't want to make it even more, oh god, do I have to make changes again? More changes. The trouble with FPL Challenge, Matt Eddie says, if you could cheat on it by putting injured players that play at the end of the week, putting vice captain on a player at the beginning, and it does. Yeah, I've heard Sim talking about that. Cinnamon saying, anyone else miss out on the all-out attack chip? Anyone miss the all-out attack chip? No. I would like to see unlimited free transfers every week, pretty much the wild card, but just makes it permanent. No, we need to keep the game still within reason, quite tactical. I also want the rank drops to be more forgiving, because the big green arrows always feel smaller than the big red arrows. Yeah. Welcome to my world, nuclear atoms. Right, I've got to get out of here because, like I said, life's too short. As Andy Millman says. Nice talking to you, mate, but I've got to get going. Life's too short. Let's get on with some, I say, score predictions. Again, something which I'm doing terribly at the moment. Absolutely atrociously at the moment. And it's actually really annoying that, like I say, I haven't even talked about my team. I did a transfer this week. Haven't even told you what my transfer was. So my team this week is going to be Flecken in goal, Aitnuri, Van Dijk, Gabriel, Son, possible captaincy, Palmer, Salah, possible captaincy, Saka, Solanke, Isaac, who was my transfer in for Tony, and Darwin. On the bench, we've got Foden, Kirkes and Doherty, and I've got my plan in place is simply this, to build up to game week 34. It'll be Turner out for either Neto or Pickford. We then have Doherty will be going out for Ben White or Saliba. Son will be going out for Eze. And basically, I will have, I think it's like 11 double game week players, and I'll be playing bench boost for that particular game week because the players that have got singles will be Foden, Palmer, and Isaac. That's right, Isaac. And those particular fixtures that they've got on that particular day are as follows. So it'll be Isaac away at Crystal Palace. Oh yeah, they're all away, aren't they? I remember this now. Palmer away at Arsenal and Foden away at Brighton. I'm perfectly happy with that. I'm perfectly content with that. And of course, I'll have Flecken in goal against Luton. So yeah, I'm perfectly content with my team. Moving forward with it, it's going to probably be, I can't even do the maths, what's that, a -8 total? Really, if and when necessary. So yeah, I'm content with what I'm doing. It's getting done because I'm not interested in game week 37. But game week 36, if it is confirmed with Chelsea versus West Ham and Tottenham, I will be triple captaining Palmer for that, where he'll do nothing. He'll do absolutely nothing in that particular fixture. But yeah, Ray, Chris Tarrant here. Chris Tarrant Palace doesn't work. Crystal Palace versus Man City. I think I've already said it. I do think Crystal Palace scoring this particular fixture. I'm going to go 2-1 to Crystal Palace. The history, though. Here we go with the history. Doesn't look great for Man City. It doesn't look good at all. Here we go. Crystal Palace 0, Man City 2. Man City 0, Crystal Palace 2. Here we go, there's that number. Crystal Palace 0, Man City 0. Man City 4, Crystal Palace. Do you remember that number? Yep, it's number 2. 2. Crystal Palace 0, Man City. It's not 2, it's a 1. And then the last time these two played, it was Manchester City 2, Crystal Palace 2. But I think Man City just about nick this. 2-1. Everton versus Burnley. Obviously, we've had an upturn in fortune over the last 4 games. Drawn 3, 1-1. This game is horrible to call. Really, really horrible to call. I'm just going to say a draw. I'm just going to go 1-1. But honestly, if it ended 0-0 or even 1-0 to Everton, I wouldn't be surprised. But I just think there's a bit of oomph about us. History is suggesting an Everton win. That's based on the recent history. They've won 3 out of the last 4. Some quite high scoring games in there. We've had a 3-1 to Everton, a 3-2 to us, 3-0 to Everton, 2-0 to Everton. So yeah, it's looking like actually it could be quite a high scoring game. But I just think these two are going to cancel each other out. I'm going to go with 1-1. We then move on to Fulham versus Newcastle. Fulham, very good at home. Newcastle, crap away from home. Newcastle on an upturn in form at the moment. Harvey Barnes, Isaac. There's a lot of red cards in this fixture as well. A lot of them to Fulham. 3 red cards in total for Fulham across the last 6 fixtures. In fact, Newcastle, they do like playing Fulham. In fact, Newcastle have not lost to Fulham at all in the last 6. There's a lot of nils in there as well, a lot of zeros. We've got Fulham 0, Newcastle 2, Newcastle 1, Fulham 0, Newcastle 3, Fulham 0, Fulham 0, Newcastle 2. What did he come out and say today? That Muniz is looking at a bit of a knock at the moment. I think that's a Yellow Submarine reference there. I think this could be the high scoring game of the weekend. I'm going to go with Fulham. Fulham to nick it 3-2, Cole. There we are, Cole. I'm going to go Fulham to nick it 3-2. Again, my score predictions are terrible, but yeah, I'm going to go an end-to-end game here. Oh, I forgot Anthony Gordon, didn't I? Anthony Gordon's going to be back in this game. Great. Luton Bournemouth, Solanke captainers, where are you at? Oh, it's just Alex Vollo, isn't it? Bournemouth are crap at the moment. And Luton they're not getting battered, as always. Luton's last 6 fixtures. They lost 3-2. They drew with Palace 1-1. We've got a bit of a pattern here. A loss followed by a draw. So they lose to Aston Villa 3-2. They draw with Crystal Palace 1-1. They lose to Bournemouth 4-3, followed up by a 1-1 with Luton. Then they lose to Tottenham and Arsenal 2-1 and 2-0. And now they've got Bournemouth and then Manchester City. Oh, God. Is that what he says? Soap in lock stock? Oh, God. Oh, I'm going to go with a... What does the table say with Luton and Bournemouth? Specifically Luton at home and Bournemouth away. I'm pretty certain Bournemouth away from home are better than at home. Luton at home, though, they are great. 18th. 1-3, drawn 3, lost 9. Scored 22, conceded 26. Last 4 fixtures, they've lost 3, drawn 1. They lost 3-1 to Sheffield United, 2-1 to Man United, 3-2 to Aston Villa, 1-1 with Nottingham Forest. So they can score at home, which we know they will do tomorrow. Question is, can Bournemouth score away from home? They can indeed, but they do concede a lot as well. 1-5, drawn 3, lost 6. Last 4 fixtures, drawn 2, lost 1, 1-1. Those draws were 1-1 against West Ham and 2-2 against Newcastle. They lost to Fulham 3-1 and they beat Burnley 2-0. I'm going to go with a draw here. I'm going to go with let's go with a 2-2. Let's go with a 2-2 between these two particular teams. I think that's probably going to be a draw in this particular fixture. Wolves versus West Ham. Wolves, a team who don't really lose at home against a West Ham team that are just plodding along now. History is suggesting a home win, and we're looking at a 1-0 here. In fact, the only time a team has conceded goal, both teams have conceded a goal, was back on the 5th of, funny enough, this time 3 years ago, on the 5th of April 2021, where Wolves lost 3-2 to West Ham. Other than that, it's been Wolves 1, West Ham 0. West Ham 1, Wolves 0. West Ham 2, Wolves 0. Wolves 1, West Ham 0. West Ham 3, Wolves 0. So it's looking like a team is going to be keeping a clean sheet in this particular fixture. West Ham have got a slightly better history against Wolves. Won 4 out of the last 6. So it's looking likely to be a West Ham victory. I'm going to go with both of these teams to draw. I'm going to go with I'm going to go with 1-1 in this game here. We then move on to the Aston Villa versus Brentford. Aston Villa are going to win this. Brentford are terrible away from home. Really bad. And the history is suggesting, well, a draw. There's been 3 draws in the last 6. Aston Villa 1, Brentford 1. Brentford 1, Aston Villa 1. Aston Villa 3, Brentford 3. But Aston Villa, of the victories, Aston Villa have had the most. They've had 2 victories to Brentford 1. And I am going to go with Aston Villa to win this 2-1, 2-0. I'll go 2-0. Oh, Brighton versus Arsenal. This could be a fantastic game of football for the purists. I think this could be a real good fight between these two here. Brighton do like playing Arsenal. In fact, Brighton have won 3 out of the last 6, albeit ironically away from home. Brighton 0, Arsenal 0, Arsenal 1, Brighton 2, Arsenal 1, Brighton 3, Brighton 2, Arsenal 4, Arsenal 0, Brighton 3, Arsenal 2, Brighton 0. For some reason I had 2-0 in my mind to Arsenal, and do you know what? I'm going to go with that, but I think Brighton score. I'm going to go 2-1 to Arsenal. Then moving on to the Sunday fixtures, Man United, Liverpool. Fucking hell, I hate this fixture. Man United always seem to have some kind of upper hand over Liverpool, as the history's probably going to prove me right. Obviously, they drew that FA Cup game recently. Prior to that, it was a 0-0. Liverpool did win 7-0 against them, but that was at Anfield on the 5th of March last year. Man United beat them 2-1 and 4-0. Liverpool beat them 4-0. Again, these are all competitions, by the way. Oh, fucking hell. I'm going to go with a 3-2. And Liverpool to nick this 3-2. I'm going to go Liverpool to nick it 3-2. I think both teams are just going to go for it. I think just going to go for it, and that'll be it. Sheffield United, Chelsea. Oh, Jesus Christ. I'll go 2-1 Chelsea. Here we go. Another. Oh, actually, I say that. Yeah, Chelsea won 4 out of the last 6. Chelsea 2, Sheffield United 0. Chelsea 2, Sheffield United 0. Sheffield United 1, Chelsea 2, and so on and so forth. I think Chelsea have got enough quality to just nick this 2-1. And I mean, just. I don't think it's going to be easy. In fact, do you know what? I would not be surprised if this game ended 1-1. Now, this is a big one for me. Tottenham versus Nottingham Forest. I've just got in my head 3-2 to Tottenham. I've just got in my head 3-2 to Tottenham. History, though, what's it saying here? A lot of nils. Nottingham Forest 0, Tottenham 3, albeit that dates back to the FA Cup in 2005. Tottenham 3, Nottingham Forest 1, Nottingham Forest 0, Tottenham 2, Nottingham Forest 2, Tottenham 0, Tottenham 3, Nottingham Forest 1, Nottingham Forest 0, Tottenham 2. In fact, the last time they played each other was on the 15th of December. Tottenham won 2-0. They had a player sent off. That player was Basuma. Richarlison and Kulusevski scored the goals. Son got a yellow card in that fixture. I'm just going to quickly look at the Premier League and just see Nottingham Forest away from home, but I'm pretty certain away from home Nottingham Forest concede lots of goals. I'm pretty certain of that. So away from home Nottingham Forest, yeah, they conceded 30 goals, conceded 6 and only scored 16. They drew against Luton and Bournemouth 1-1. They lost 1-0 to Brighton, 4-2 to Aston Villa, 3-2 to Brentford, 3-1 to Nottingham Forest against Newcastle. In fact, I'm pretty certain Nottingham Forest away this season, I'm pretty certain they've conceded, well, they have conceded lots of goals, but I'm sure there's been lots of 3-2s. So they lost 4-2, like I said, to Aston Villa. They drew with Bournemouth 1-1. So beyond that, yeah, they lost to Brentford 3-2. They beat Blackpool 3-2. They were involved in a 3-1 against Newcastle. They had a 1-1 draw with Wolves. They lost 3-2 to West Ham. They drew 2-2 with Luton. I just have this feeling there's lots of red cards in Nottingham Forest games as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 red cards, albeit was ironically for the opposition. Just have this feeling Tottenham are going to do, I don't know why. Just have this gut feeling. Tottenham's fixtures at home of recent times, I'm sure it just contains lots of 2s, doesn't it? I'm sure it does. But yeah, Tottenham at home are very, very good, and it's the last game of the day. It's the last game of the weekend. A team that likes to attack against a team that can't defend. 2-1 against Luton. These are all at home. 2-1 against Luton. 3-1 against Crystal Palace. Lost 2-1 to Wolves. Beat Brighton 2-1. 3-2 against Brentford. Lost 1-0 against Man City. Beat Burnley 1-0. 3-1 against Bournemouth. 2-1 against Everton. Either when you look and beat Newcastle 4-1. And either when you look at Son at home this year, I'm sure it's just double points. At home specifically. So I always like looking at this. So he got 20 points away at Burnley, 14 points away at Arsenal, but then yes. Great, it's just away. Fulham at home he got 14, away at Crystal Palace 10, Man City was away 10, at home to Newcastle 17, away at Aston Villa, at home to Luton he got 10. Ooh, a single digit followed by a double, so 7 against Crystal Palace, 17 against Aston Villa, 2 against Fulham, 10 against Luton, 2 against West Ham, 10 against Nottingham Forest. Salah away from home. Pretty certain he's got quite a few away from home, double digits. Away at Brentford, 11 points. Away at Crystal Palace. Away at Brighton. Away at Wolves. Oh, God. And Palmer, I'm not really interested in captaining him, but last 3 home fixtures, 13, 15 and 20. Away from home, he got a 10-pointer against Crystal Palace. He got an 18-pointer against Luton. 12 points against Tottenham, 12 points against Burnley. He's predominantly a home player that gets home digit hauls, so really, brilliant. It's going to be an interesting one. I think it may be. It may just end up being, oh good, the moderators doing their jobs. Go away. Great. Thanks, moderators. Thank you, moderators, for cocking up the chat. Brilliant. So we pay people for this, apparently. Yeah, this guy's up in the engagement. Whatever. Even Colm's thinking 3-2 to Spurs. Oh my god, this is ridiculous. Oh god. Anyway, I can't look at the chat now because moderators aren't doing their jobs. Well done. So on that note, I'm going to have to call it an evening. As ever, thanks for watching, and yeah, make sure to tune in to the Saturday night live reaction tomorrow evening. I'll be going at about, well, basically whenever the Brighton Arsenal game finishes, I'll be going live straight after that. Other than that, as ever, if you are brand new around here, make sure you are hitting the subscribe button, and if you are enjoying the stream and whatnot, make sure you hit the like button. Other than that, you can join the Discord. And if you want to support the channel, you can always go to Patreon and support the channel that way as well. Other than that, I'm going to get out of here and watch the next episode of the overrated The Gentleman.